What profound secrets does your dominant hand whisper about your deepest self? Have you ever paused to contemplate why you instinctively write, touch, or reach with one hand more than the other? This seemingly simple gesture, so natural, you barely notice it might hold deeper meaning than you ever imagined. Carl Jung, the pioneering father of analytical psychology, understood that symbols and behaviors rooted in our unconscious mind often carry the most profound truths. What if your dominant hand, whether right or left, represents far more than mere biological preference? What if it serves as a living symbol, a message from your deeper self, pointing toward hidden traits, ancestral imprints, and the unique way your psyche engages with the world? Prepare to uncover what lies beneath your most instinctive movements. The hand you favor may be silently revealing your greatest strengths, your hidden blind spots, and even your spiritual orientation. Your body expresses what your mind conceals, and your hand, yes, that very hand has been speaking all along. Are you ready to hear what it's been trying to tell you? The hand code. How Jung connected body and psyche. Have you ever noticed how naturally you reach out with one specific hand, or wondered why that seemingly small preference feels so deeply ingrained in who you are? What if the hand you favor isn't merely a habit, but a reflection of something far more profound? Welcome to a hidden dimension of your personality, where the simplest gesture, choosing right or left, may reveal powerful truths about your inner self. Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human psyche, never wrote specifically about dominant hands, but he dedicated his life to decoding how our physical lives express our unconscious mind. His revolutionary concept of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of symbols and archetypes, was rooted in the understanding that everything in our lives, including our behaviors, speaks in the language of meaning. And your hands. They are among the most expressive tools of the human body. They create, communicate, defend, and heal. Throughout history, hands have symbolized power, fate, connection, and intention. We shake hands to seal agreements, raise our hands to speak, and place our hands over hearts to express truth. In many spiritual traditions, the right hand represents reason, order, and action, the conscious world. The left hand, on the other hand, is linked to intuition, mystery, and the unconscious realm. Sound familiar? These polarities mirror Jung's vision of the conscious and unconscious mind, of the ego and the shadow, of logos and eros. This is where it becomes profound. What if your dominant hand is not random? What if it symbolizes how your psyche naturally moves through the world? Those who lead with the right hand may embody the assertive, solar energy of the hero archetype. Those who favor the left may express the inner wisdom of the mystic or the sage. The symbolism doesn't end there. In Jungian psychology, individuation, the process of becoming your true self, requires balance between these forces. But what if you've been overdeveloping one side all your life, simply because of your hand preference? Even science has discovered curious connections. Studies show that left-handed individuals are more prone to creativity and non-linear thinking, while right-handed people tend to be more structured and verbal. These aren't rigid rules, they're tendencies. But Jung would have seen them as signs of archetypal patterns playing out in the body. And when it comes to relationships, it becomes even more intriguing. Have you ever felt instantly in sync with someone, or curiously opposed? What if your dominant hand reflects a psychic orientation that influences how you connect with others? Like opposite poles of a magnet or mirror, reflections of inner energies. Your hand dominance could be subtly shaping the way your unconscious relates, attracts, or repels. Ancient symbolism, body wisdom, and Jungian theory now meet in your own hands, quite literally. Jung believed that meaning hides in the places we overlook, and the way you hold a pen, wave hello, or reach for someone's hand might be one of those secret messages waiting to be uncovered. Your dominant hand is not your fate, but it may be your map, a map drawn by instincts, archetypes, and energies that existed long before you chose which hand to use. In the next sections, we'll explore what it means to lead with your right or left hand through the lens of Carl Jung's archetypes, and how this silent choice might shape your inner world more than you ever realized. By the way, if you're curious to go even deeper and integrate your shadows and light, check out the Sim Method ebook. It's a concise guide that can help you unlock your inner power in just 5 minutes a day. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Dominant right hand. The structured architects of the outer world. What does it mean to be someone who leads with the right hand in Jung's world of symbolic psychology? If your gestures, choices, and expressions begin from the right, you may very well embody what Carl Jung would call the ruler or sage archetype figures associated with clarity, structure, and a deep orientation toward the conscious outer world. Right-handed individuals often possess an intrinsic sense of order and action that would have fascinated Jung. There's something almost architectural in how you interact with life-building systems, making logical decisions, and laying out future steps with focused intention. Where others may hesitate, you move with direct purpose. Jung believed each of us contains ancient patterns of behavior archetypes housed in the collective unconscious. In right-hand dominant individuals, these patterns often express a desire to bring order to chaos, to organize what is scattered, to name what is vague. Do you find yourself taking control when things get disorganized? Do you instinctively reach for logic when emotions run high? This isn't just a habit, it's your archetype speaking. In many spiritual traditions, the right hand symbolizes authority, clarity, action, and responsibility. In this context, your preference reveals a psyche oriented toward rationality and outward mastery, the same energy found in Jung's concept of the hero's journey, the conscious path of doing, achieving, and integrating. Your dominant hand may reflect your dominant function, what Jung might call thinking or judging. You are likely to assess, compare, and decide with a strong preference for logic and results. You may favor structure over spontaneity, clarity over ambiguity, and often seek to define your environment before letting it define you. Jung would also be deeply interested in how your right-hand dominance influences your emotional processing. You may not express feelings impulsively. Instead, you manage emotion with intention, waiting for clarity before taking action. To some, this may appear as restraint, but to you, it's simply wisdom in motion. When it comes to relationships, the right-hand archetype often shows up as commitment, consistency, and protection. You value roles, responsibilities, and clear definitions. You may not say much, but your actions often speak volumes, especially in how you support those you care about. But every archetype carries a shadow. For those with right-hand dominance, that shadow can be rigidity, resistance to the unknown, or a discomfort with emotional ambiguity, Jung would encourage you to look at what your left, non-dominant hand might be hiding, your repressed intuitive or emotional functions that long to be acknowledged. You may find yourself uncomfortable with disorder or spontaneity. Jung would view this as an invitation, an inner task calling you to explore your less developed traits. The journey of individuation, he taught, requires balancing your strengths with your shadows to achieve psychological wholeness. Professionally, your right-handed orientation may steer you toward roles that require precision, decision-making, or leadership fields where logic, timing, and structure are essential. Whether in management, engineering, law, or strategic roles, your natural way of reaching out often brings clarity to complex systems. Your instinctive preference for action with purpose reflects Jung's idea of the conscious function in harmony with ego, a self that has learned how to shape the world according to vision, not just reaction. And yet, Jung would remind you even the most efficient hand cannot grasp wholeness alone. True growth may require learning to listen to the inner whisper of your left side to slow down, feel more deeply, allow the irrational, and trust the unknown. You may begin life as a builder of external structures, but as you age and evolve, a subtle shift occurs. You may notice that what once mattered control, logic, certainty, starts to give way to curiosity, compassion, and intuition. Jung called this the integration of the inferior function, a key step on the path to true selfhood. The deeper truth. Your right-hand dominance isn't just about coordination. It's a metaphor for how you've navigated life. And now, you're being invited to explore the other side of the self. In Jung's language, this is not about changing who you are, it's about becoming whole. Dominant, left hand. The intuitive explorers of the inner world. What hidden powers lie in the hands of those who lead with the left? According to a Jungian lens, if you're part of the minority who instinctively favors the left hand, you may embody what Carl Jung would recognize as the explorer, the seer, or even the rebel archetype figures deeply attuned to the unconscious, creativity, and nonconformity. Unlike the externally structured energy often seen in right-handed individuals, those who lead with the left hand seem to move through life with an inner compass, subtle, instinctive, and often mysterious. There's something almost alchemical about how you navigate experience, guided less by rules and more by intuition. Where others see structure, you sense flow. Where they need clarity, you embrace the unknown. Jung believed that archetypes are universal psychic patterns that exist in every culture. For left-handed individuals, these patterns often express through sensitivity to symbols, a rich inner world, and a kind of psychic openness to things others overlook. Do you find yourself drawn to metaphysical topics, art, dreams, or unexplained phenomena? That isn't mere curiosity, it's the soul's way of seeking what lies beyond the visible. Culturally, the left hand has long been associated with the mystical, the feminine, the shadow, and the moon. In Jungian terms, this connects to the anima, the internal image of the soul, emotional, reflective, receptive. Your hand may quite literally be a physical reflection of your comfort with the invisible realms of psyche and emotion. Your orientation toward non-linear thinking would captivate Jung, who saw the psyche not as a machine, but as a living, breathing organism of meaning. While others may demand clear answers, you are content to sit in the question, allowing insight to arise organically. Your ability to dwell in ambiguity is part of what Jung called the transcendent function, the inner faculty that holds tension between opposites until something entirely new is born. You often bring together intuition and emotion in ways that produce art, insight, or healing. Where logic may fail, your left-hand archetype offers depth and vision. In relationships, your presence can be magnetic. There's an authenticity, a quiet intensity in you that draws people in. Jung might describe this as the feeler archetype, not sentimental, but deeply attuned to emotional undercurrents. You notice what others miss, the unsaid, the symbolic, the energetic. But every archetype has a shadow. For left-hand dominant individuals, it can manifest as emotional overwhelm, escapism, or difficulty with structure. Jung would caution that your gift for intuition must be balanced by grounding, not to lose the gift, but to anchor it in reality. The shadow may also show up as a tendency to withdraw or rebel when faced with conformity. But Jung would remind you the goal isn't to destroy structure, it's to transcend it with meaning. Professionally, left-handed individuals often thrive in creative, healing, or visionary fields. Artists, musicians, therapists, spiritual guides, designers, or even inventors. Your value isn't in fitting into systems, but in reimagining them. Jung would see this as your soul's deep urge to shape reality from the inside out. Your natural decision-making reflects an introverted, intuitive function. You don't rush to act, you observe. You feel. You gather symbols and impressions until the inner click tells you the path. This can look like indecision to others, but it's really gestation. Your choices come from a place of depth, not impulse. Left-hand dominance often comes with a non-linear relationship with time. You might feel like time bends depending on your emotional state, faster when inspired, slower when bored. You might view this as a sign of your inner world taking priority over the outer schedule. The phrase, "follow your gut," feels almost literal to you. You may resist conventional paths not out of rebellion, but because your internal rhythm simply doesn't match the world's clock. Jung would say this is the dance of the individuated soul, one who walks their own path regardless of how it appears to others. Stress for left-handed individuals often arises when they are forced into excessive structure, bureaucracy, or logical rigidity. Jung would recognize this as the activation of your inferior function, the part of the psyche least developed. Your growth comes not from rejecting structure, but from learning how to use it in service of your intuition. As you mature, many left-handed individuals begin to integrate more discipline, more planning, not as a surrender, but as an expansion. Jung would call this the emergence of the whole self, where your soul no longer hides from form, but inhabits it fully. Your need for meaningful freedom and deep internal connection isn't just a preference, it's an archetypal mission. Jung would view it as your contribution to a world that desperately needs inner awareness, emotional depth, and visionary insight. You aren't here to repeat what's been done. You are here to open new doors within yourself and for others. And yes, that may begin with something as simple as the hand you reach out with. Jung would remind you the goal is not to become the right hand, it is to integrate both. Only by honoring the intuitive, feeling parts of yourself, can you achieve the fullness of who you were meant to be. So the next time you write, paint, touch, or reach, Know that your hand is not just doing it, is speaking, and what it says is sacred. The dance between hands. When instinct meets intuition. What if the real meaning isn't found in which hand dominates, but in how both hands shape your life together? Carl Jung taught that the psyche is made of opposites, constantly trying to reconcile conscious and unconscious, thinking and feeling, action and reflection. And what could be more symbolic of that inner polarity than the two hands you carry with you every day? The right hand may represent the outer world, logic, structure, movement, clarity. It builds, it writes, it reaches forward. It is the hand we show the world. The left hand, in contrast, often belongs to the inner world. Intuition, emotion, silence, creativity. It receives, it feels, it remembers. It is the hand that holds what we keep to ourselves. Most people go through life choosing one over the other, living either in rational certainty or emotional depth. But Jung's path wasn't about choosing, it was about integration. He believed that psychological wholeness only comes when both opposites are allowed to speak. The right hand may show you how to act in the world. The left may show you why. One leads you forward. The other keeps you grounded. And just like your hands must cooperate to complete even the simplest task, tying a shoelace, playing an instrument, embracing someone, your psyche longs for the same balance. Not competition between the parts, but a dance. You are not just the thinker or the feeler, you are both. You are not only the one who builds the house, but also the one who knows when it feels like home. So if you've spent your life favoring one side, perhaps it's time to listen to the other. Because maybe, just maybe, the message you've been missing isn't in the hand you use, but in the one you've been ignoring. Most people go through life unaware that every gesture, every motion, every silent choice between the left or the right tells a story. From childhood, you're taught which hand to use. You're praised for writing neatly, for shaking hands correctly, for following the path that feels natural. But Jung would ask, natural to whom? What if the hand you've always used is only half the truth? What if the one you've ignored, the one that trembles slightly when asked to take control, isn't weak, but merely unheard? You see, Jung never believed that we should live split in half. His life's work was to reunite what the world had separated, to bring the shadow into the light, to let the unseen speak. And what better symbol of that union than your own two hands? One hand builds, the other feels. One reaches forward, the other remembers. One leads, the other guides. But both belong to you. You are not just your logic. You are not just your emotion. You are not just your dominance. You are not just your resistance. You are the dance between action and reflection, the tension between control and surrender, the bridge between what the world sees and what your soul whispers when no one is watching. And until you learn to see both hands as parts of the same self, you will always feel incomplete, always overcompensating, always missing something unnamed. Jung would call this your individuation, not perfection, but wholeness. A return to your center by embracing your polarities, not by erasing one side, but by integrating both into a higher truth. So the next time you look down and see your hands, ask yourself, which one have I trusted, and which one have I abandoned? Then place them together, palm to palm. Feel the warmth, and remember you were never meant to choose. You were meant to unite. Because you were never just one hand, you were always the soul behind both. If this resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a comment, share this video with someone who needs this message, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next deep dive into your soul. Your hand doesn't just act, it whispers the truth of who you are. Listen, reach inward, and awaken with us